Okay, we are up here on the roof of a 2018 Wonder Murphy bed. And Tyler, my friend Tyler here, he wants to reconfigure his 400 watts of solar panels from being all parallel to series pairs in parallel. So first thing he's doing is he's removing all the die core that holds on the branch connectors for the panels, so we can because we have to go from basically 4 strings to 2 strings since we're just doing them in parallel. So we will get all this die core off and free the branch connectors, and then we'll go from there. But what you have to do is you have to dig off the putty until you find the screw. There's a screwdriver in that bag.
Okay.
The screws that hold on these branch connectors, and he's uncovered one already. I think there's usually 2, but you know, oh yeah, it could be 3 or 4. I don't know. But leisure screws all these in. So we'll get all this removed and get the screws out and get all this cleaned up and freed up so I can show you what we do after that. Okay, now we're going to take our tool, and there's little tabs. I don't know if you can see them, but these little tabs right here, they press in, and you use the solar MC4 connector tool to get those to press in, and then you pull the connectors apart. Just like that. Okay, do the other one. That was kind of sideways. There you go. Okay. So that's all there is to disconnecting MC4 cables. So we'll keep getting all this stuff separated so we can start our reconfiguration process. Okay, so the way these solar panels were connected is through 2 series of branch connectors. So we're having to remove the connector, this series of branch connectors from the other 2 solar panels before we can reconfigure them. So we'll keep doing that and come back. Okay, we've gone through and we've put some blue painter's tape on all the positive wires and over there. So now we're going to disconnect these branch connectors. The tabs look like they're bent off or yeah, you know, worn off or something. Now, if you can't do that, you might try a pair of needle nose pliers.
Yeah, that might work.
Because you're just pushing those little tabs in. Do I need to help you?
Compress it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're getting it out. There you go. Okay, so if the tool fails, you get the needle nose pliers and press in those little tabs. Or forget the tool. There you go. All right, so we're going to do this on all the connections to these three to 1 branch connectors on both sets of panels, so we can get this area cleaned up for when we go with our new branch connectors. Okay, so we have our area cleaned up. I used a Turnabond to cover the holes, and if you look at this wire that Tyler has pulled up, you can see the red, and that tells you that's the positive. So you want to definitely verify your positive cable coming out of the roof before you start connecting everything. So now Tyler's going to put these 2 to 1 branch connectors on the ends of each, and these are where we're going to be making our new configuration. Yeah, just press it on. There you go, click. All right, then put the other one on. Okay, now here we have our cables. Now the way, oh, get your other 2 cables. Yeah. All right, now the way that you do in series, 2 panels in series, is you take the positive from one panel, but you want to plan your connection, so we probably want that. So take the negative and hook it to this positive. So you take the negative from one panel and push it together with the positive. Did they click?
Yep.
Oh yeah, okay, good. And you can see your little tabs are sticking through. So you know it's completely mated. All right, so now when you put the positive and the negative together, now the panels are in series. So then you take your leftover positive and you clip it in on the positive side. There you go. And then you take your leftover negative and you clip that in on the negative side. Okay. Now, so now this pair, let me step back. This pair of solar panels that he has on this side of his roof have now been wired in series. And then when we bring the leftover positive and negative to these branch connectors are how they're wired in parallel. And parallel means the positives together, all together, and the negatives all together. So we have one panel now wired in series and connected to a parallel configuration, and now we need to do this set over here. So we'll go over and get that ready. Okay, Tyler's going through the same process to unclip all the wires from those branch connectors. So we'll get all that done and get all this cleaned up and come back. Okay, so now we put some Turnabond tape over the screw holes for that connector. So now we're going to do the same thing. Positive to negative. But wait, plan your connections, because you got to have one positive. The leftover positive goes in there. Well, yeah, you can do that. Yeah, and then use that leftover use that negative in there. Yeah. Okay, now hook the remaining positive and negative together. That puts them in series. Okay. All right, so now we have these two panels connected in series, and that wire runs over here to these two. So we have to put these two together. Put the positive in the other branch. No, over there, positive. Yeah. All right, now always pull on those to make sure they're all firmly seated. Okay, all right, so now the panels in series pairs are wired now in parallel. So this is the parallel connection. So all the positives are together on this side, all the negatives are together on this side, and this goes down into the coach where we make the connection with the solar controller, which we've already done that. We were just reconfiguring the panels. So we're done, and now we're gonna recover this area with Dicor, and we're going to use some Eternavon tape and clean up the wires and the same over here, and we're finished. So that's it for this video. Really the only things you need in order to reconfigure your panels are a male and female 2-to-1 branch connector, some Dicor if you need to redo some of your Dicor, 2-inch Eternavon tape, or you could just use all Dicor. I just like Eternavon tape, it's not messy. And you're done. That's all you need to reconfigure your all in parallel panels to series pairs in parallel. And well, that's it. Oh, and the main reason you want to do this is because by putting the panels in series, now that makes one big 40-volt panel, and it's much easier for a 40-volt panel to reach the voltage required to start the solar controller. When the sun first comes up, you have to have 5 volts more than the resting voltage of the battery. So for a Lithionics battery, that means it's sitting at 13.4 volts, plus 5 is 18.4 volts. So it's much easier for a 40-volt panel pair to reach the 18.4 volts much sooner in the morning to begin bulk charging of your batteries than if you were to wait for the individual 20-volt panel to reach 18.4 volts. So you do this so you can capture the sun. You start using the sun much earlier in the day. The other benefit is in the winter when you have a very low sun angle. I know here in the south it's very hard for our individual panels, if you have them in parallel, to reach that 18.4 volts. Some days you don't even get solar charging because of the low sun angle. But if you put them in series and in parallel, then you have no trouble reaching that 18.4 volts and using even the lower sun angle winter sun to keep your batteries charged through the winter. Okay, so there we have it. Okay, we have finished our installation. We've used Eternavon tape and Dicor to finish everything off. Nice and neat. The Dicor takes, it gets the skin over it in 24 hours. So then you wouldn't have to worry about, rain or anything like that. But it does take about 5 days to cure. And you always want to put the Dicor on nice and thick and then just let it run. It's self-leveling. smooths out nicely. And then, you know, it's done and you don't have to worry about it. Okay, we're done.